My mother-in-law kicked me out of the hospital room right after I gave birth, sparking a family feud. She's now guilt-tripping my husband and invading our home, leaving me to fight for boundaries while recovering with my newborn. Hey everyone, my name's Riley. I'm 28 years old, and I seriously need to vent about something that's been eating me up lately. I've been lurking on Reddit for a while, but this is my first time posting because I'm at my wit's end and could really use some outside perspective. So here's the deal. I just had my first kid a couple weeks ago, and my mother-in-law completely lost it and kicked me out of the hospital room right after I gave birth. Yeah, you read that right. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, and it's been a total mess ever since. Let me break it down for you. So a little backstory first. I've been married to my husband, Dylan, for 3 years now. He's 30, works as a mechanic, and he's honestly the sweetest guy most of the time. Super laid back, always trying to keep the peace. We met through mutual friends, hit it off, and things moved pretty fast. When I got pregnant last year, we were both over the moon about it. Dylan's the type who'd bend over backwards to make sure I'm okay, especially during the pregnancy. He'd rub my feet after long days, make midnight snack runs, the whole 9 yards. But his mom? That's a whole different story. My mother-in-law, let's just call her MIL for short, is one of those people who always has to be in control. She's in her late 50s, retired from some office job, and she's got this loud, overbearing personality that sucks the air out of any room she's in. She's the kind who'll give you advice, but it's really just her telling you how to live your life. When we told her I was pregnant, she acted excited, but it quickly turned into her trying to micromanage everything. She'd show up unannounced with baby clothes I didn't ask for, insist on planning the baby shower even though my sister, Victoria, already had it covered, and constantly lecture me about what I should be eating or how I should be sleeping. Dylan would just shrug and say, "That's just how she is," but it drove me up the wall. My sister, Victoria, is 26 and my total opposite. She's loud, opinionated, and doesn't take crap from anyone. She's been my rock through all this, especially since she's the only one who'll call MIL out when she's being ridiculous. Victoria's single, works as a bartender, and has this no-filter attitude that's gotten her in trouble more than once. She and MIL have butted heads from day one, which I'll get into later because it definitely plays into what happened at the hospital. Then there's Nathan, Dylan's best friend since high school. He's 29, a chill guy who works in IT, and he's been around a lot lately because he's basically Dylan's go-to for venting when family stuff gets messy. Nathan's the type who doesn't pick sides but will listen and crack a joke to lighten the mood. He's been over at our place a bunch since the baby was born, mostly to help Dylan keep his sanity. Okay, so fast forward to the birth. I went into labor 2 weeks ago, and it was rough. 16 hours of pure hell, no exaggeration. Dylan was there the whole time, holding my hand, telling me I was doing great. My mom and Victoria were in the waiting room, ready to come in once the baby arrived. We'd agreed ahead of time that it'd just be me and Dylan in the delivery room, then immediate family could visit after. MIL knew this. We talked about it multiple times because I didn't want a crowd while I was pushing a human out of me. She nodded and said she understood, but I should have known better. The baby, a little girl we named Lily, finally came, and I was exhausted but so happy. Dylan was crying. I was crying. It was this perfect moment. The nurses cleaned her up, handed her to me, and I just sat there soaking it all in. About 20 minutes later, my mom and Victoria came in, and it was all hugs and pictures and that new baby high. Then MIL showed up. I didn't even know she was at the hospital yet because Dylan hadn't texted her. We'd agreed to wait until I was settled in the recovery room. But apparently, she'd been hovering in the waiting area the whole time, texting Dylan nonstop for updates. She barged in, didn't even knock, and immediately started gushing about how her grandbaby was finally here. I was still hooked up to N4, half out of it, trying to breastfeed Lily for the first time, and she just plopped herself right next to me on the bed. Like, physically nudged me over while I'm sitting there with my gown barely covering me. Victoria shot me a look like, "You okay with this?" And I just shook my head slightly because I was too tired to deal with it. Things went downhill fast. MIL started grabbing at Lily, saying she needed to bond with her, and I told her, politely, I swear, "Hey, can you wait a sec? I'm still figuring this out." She ignored me and kept trying to take her out of my arms. Dylan stepped in and said, "Mom, Give her some space. But she snapped at him. I've waited 9 months for this. I'm not waiting any longer. That's when Victoria lost it. She told Emile, back off. She just gave birth. Let her breathe. Emile fired back, calling Victoria a rude little brat and saying she had no business being there if she couldn't respect family. It turned into a full-on shouting match. My mom tried to calm everyone down, but Emile was on a roll, saying stuff like, I'm the grandmother. I have rights. I was sitting there, clutching Lily, feeling like I was about to pass out from exhaustion, and finally I just said, everyone, please stop. I can't handle this right now. You'd think that'd be the end of it, but nope. Emile turned to me and said, if you can't handle me being here for my granddaughter, then maybe you shouldn't be here. I thought she was joking at first, but then she pointed at the door and said, get out. I'll take care of things. I just stared at her like, what? Dylan was stunned too, but before he could say anything, she doubled down. You heard me, Riley. If you're going to let your sister talk to me like that and keep my grandbaby from me, then leave. Victoria started yelling again. My mom was telling Emile to calm down, and I just sat there holding Lily, feeling like I was in some kind of nightmare. The nurses came in because of the noise, and Emile actually told them, she needs to go, she's causing a scene. I couldn't believe it. I'd just given birth, and she was trying to kick me out of my own hospital room. The nurses were awesome. They told Emile she needed to leave instead, but not before she made a huge fuss, crying about how I was turning her son against her and keeping her grandbaby away. Dylan finally snapped and told her to go home, and she stormed out, slamming the door. The room went quiet, and I just broke down sobbing. Lily started crying too, and it was this awful, overwhelming mess. The nurses got me settled eventually, but I couldn't shake the feeling of being totally violated in what was supposed to be one of the best moments of my life. Since then, it's been a roller coaster. Emile's been blowing up Dylan's phone, saying I owe her an apology for disrespecting her and that Victoria should be banned from our house if we want her to meet Lily. Dylan's torn. He loves his mom, but he's furious about what she did. He keeps saying he'll handle it, but every time he talks to her, she guilts him into backing off. Meanwhile, Victoria's ready to throw hands, and I'm stuck in the middle, trying to recover and take care of a newborn while dealing with this drama. There's more to it too. A few days after we got home, Emile showed up unannounced with a carload of baby stuff, crib, clothes, diapers, you name it. She acted like nothing happened, waltzing in and saying, I'm here to help since you clearly need it. I was still sore and sleep-deprived, and I didn't have the energy to fight, so I let her in. Big mistake. She spent the whole time criticizing how I was holding Lily, how the house looked, even how Dylan was failing to step up as a dad. She stayed for 3 hours, and by the time she left, I was in tears again. Dylan apologized after, but he didn't really stand up to her, just said, she means well. Then there's the family group chat. Emile's been posting pictures of Lily that she must have taken at the hospital, without asking me, and captioning them with stuff like, finally a grandma, despite everything. My mom saw it and called me, furious, saying Emile's acting like she's the victim. Victoria wants to confront her, but I told her to hold off because I'm scared it'll just make things worse. Nathan's been over a couple times, and even he's like, dude, your mom's out of line. But Dylan's still stuck in this weird loyalty limbo. I feel like I'm losing my mind. I just had a baby. I'm supposed to be bonding with her, not dealing with this crap. I keep replaying that hospital moment in my head. How she looked at me like I was the intruder. How she tried to take over something so personal. And now she's framing it like I'm the bad guy for not letting her steamroll me. Dylan says I should just let it go for the sake of peace, but I can't. It's not just about the hospital anymore. It's the constant boundary stomping, the guilt trips, the way she acts like Lily's hers instead of ours. I've talked to my mom and Victoria about it nonstop, and they're both on my side, saying Emile's a total a-hole for pulling that stunt. But Dylan's starting to hint that maybe I overreacted by letting Victoria snap at her, and that's why it escalated. I don't know. I was so out of it that day. Maybe I could have handled it better, but I don't think I'm wrong for wanting space after pushing a baby out, you know? So, Reddit, I'm turning to you because I'm exhausted and confused. Am I the problem here? Should I just suck it up and let Emile have her way to keep the peace? Or am I right to stand my ground? I just want to enjoy my daughter without all this hanging over me. What do you think?
Thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the story. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss our daily updates.